Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host.
Hello everyone and welcome to the show. It's Trevor with you today. Thanks for tuning in. My guest for this episode is Dr. Destini Copp. Now she's a business and marketing coach, and she's also the author of the book Launch Your Online Course Business in 90 Days or Less. That sounds really good. Destini helps business owners add passive income to their businesses using online courses and memberships, amongst other things. She also helps individuals overcome feeling awkward about selling. We're going to dig into that a little bit more on this episode. For some of us, it's not a problem. We're more naturally wired to sell. But for others, it's a real issue. So learning how to overcome or just get better at it can be a real game changer. So really excited to hear what she shares about that. So thanks for joining us, Destini Copp.
Trevor, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here with you today and chatting about all things business.
Sounds really good. Yeah. And you've been in a polite way, you've been in business for years. You're not that old. You obviously started very young. But tell us a little bit about your background, because you've been doing online courses and involved with that for many years, haven't you? So how did that all start?
Yeah, so I I was in corporate marketing and really got burned out, which I'm sure a lot of people listening to this today can relate to that. And I took a step back. I took a year off and really evaluated my life and tried to figure out what did I want to do. And I always loved teaching and helping other people. And that's when I found this job teaching online at the university level. Now, this was back in the dark ages. So, teaching online at the university level was just getting started. This is way before we started doing it in the entrepreneur world. This was back in 2005. And that's when I discovered, not only, teaching and helping people from that perspective, but doing it virtually and doing it online. And I had people asking me, is that really a big thing? Like people can learn and really, really learn something that they can take into the corporate world. And I was like, absolutely. Absolutely. So we did that for many years. And got burned out. So I worked a lot of different positions at the university, all the way from an assistant dean, moved up to an associate vice chancellor of academic affairs, and had this itch again and said, I really wanted to start my own business. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to take the plunge and I'm going to do it. And that's when I transitioned into helping other people, not only with their marketing, because I was a college marketing professor, but also bringing in an additional revenue stream into their business through online courses and memberships. And that's kind of how it all evolved.
Okay. So did you know, as you were sort of maybe the first inklings of, I really want to start doing this myself, was it naturally, it's definitely going to be setting up courses and then teaching other people how to do that? Or was there sort of a bit of an exploratory journey before you got to that point?
So that's very funny that you asked that, because I really didn't know what to do when I said, I want to start my own business. And there were a lot of different things that I could have done, quite frankly, and a lot of, kind of other directions that I almost went in. For instance, one of the things that I had done in my corporate world and working at the university, I had managed a remote organization of over 1,000 people. And, that's a skill set, right? That a lot of people don't have. And I was like, you know what? I could start helping people in doing that. Another skill set that I had was productivity type skills. So I was really, really good at getting things done and keeping things organized. I'm like, you know what? I could take that and help people with that. So to answer your question, no. When I first started, I didn't know what to do. And I really had to kind of sit back and think, this is what I'm going to start with. Doesn't mean I can't move into or start those other type of businesses later, but I had to put a stake in the ground and said, this is who I'm going to serve. and this is how I'm going to help them.
Yeah. Well, I'm certainly glad you chose this option. I know you've got thousands of clients already, and you bring a lot of insight from. I think it's interesting. Like in lots of ways, however we end up in business or whatever our business looks like, all the life experiences, one way or another, get bundled in, and then they come out in a way that helps express through whichever business we choose. So you've got a lot of expertise you can draw on, a lot of things you've learned, probably how not to do things, and then worked out how to do it in the process that you then share. And I guess that's part of how you help coach people as well. So that's really good. So the online course, in some ways, then you were really one of the pioneers of starting the online teaching process, or being involved many years before a lot of people saw how beneficial it was. So in that sort of move to be your own boss, what were some of the initial challenges that you had once you decided, right, I'm going to start with this? I like what you said about maybe this isn't the final thing. You know, I'm not going to set myself the target of I have to do this and make this work and nothing else. It's good to be flexible and open. But what was some of the challenges that you had to overcome in an area, sort of setting up a business in an area that you were good at already, if that makes sense? Just not necessarily from a be your own boss perspective.
So I could talk about this all day, first of all. And, one of the things I want people to know, if they're listening, is I've went through all of the challenges that you may be experiencing if you're just starting out. So when I started my own business, I did not have an audience. I did not have an email list. I didn't have a website. I didn't have my social media accounts. I mean, I had like Facebook personal, and I'd done some, over the years, right? People had joined me on LinkedIn, but really I had nothing. Like I was literally starting from scratch. And I would say some of the things I did right, and I don't really know, why or how I did them right or how I knew, but I started building my email list early, and that has benefited me tremendously. Yeah. So, starting with your own personal website, I started blogging and eventually added a podcast, but started with blogging, and that also helped. And the reason why that helped is it built up authority on my website and got traffic to my website. So I'm still getting traffic today from some of those earlier blog posts that I did, like the month I started my own business. So those are some of the things that I did right. Now, building my email list and building my business took a lot longer, and it was just more. It took a lot longer than what I thought it was going to take. I'll just go ahead and throw that out there. Like I was under the impression, I was under the impression based on some of the things I was hearing, from some people in the industry, you just throw out a lead magnet and you're going to get thousands of people in your list. It just didn't work like that. Like I had to work at promoting myself, promoting my business, promoting my offers, promoting my lead magnet. People just didn't find me magically, right? I mean, I had to really, really work and network and meet other people. And, at that point in time, I was going into Facebook groups, going into networking groups, meeting other people in my industry, meeting my peers, building relationships. And that took a lot of groundwork. And I just rolled up my sleeves, quite frankly, and did it.
Yeah. That's encouraging, I think, in a lot of ways. I'm sure lots of people listening, nodding away, going, yeah, taken me longer to get even to where I am now than I thought it was going to be. And yet I'm not necessarily where I'd like to be at this point in time. So email list is really important. I like that. But also, we were chatting a little bit before we started the episode. You're wired more as an introvert, aren't you? As am I. Nothing wrong with introverts. We love introverts and extroverts the same. But in some ways, that's how you can help. You've overcome the issue of feeling a bit awkward about selling and pitching, if that's a term we can use. Help us understand, if we're introverts listening, we understand where you're coming from. If we're extroverts listening, we probably think, what's all the fuss about? Just get on and make the offer and tell them what you're offering and give them the opportunity. But from an introvert's perspective, the world is a different place, isn't it? And it can be a challenge. We can overcome it for a little while and then maybe go back into our comfort. This is how I like to operate. And then we see that, things aren't going as well. What would be some of the things for people listening thinking, I'm really struggling in this area. Destiny's overcome it. How did she do it? What would you say?
So I would say that there are definitely things that you can do as an introvert to promote your products and your services that that are comfortable for you. One of the things that I would say is placing an emphasis on your marketing, like your content marketing and marketing to the people that are on your email list, right? When you're producing content, whether it's a podcast or it's an article or you're providing them free value on social media or what you're sending out through your email list, they're going to be much more likely to trust you. So that when it's time for you to promote one of your services, or maybe it's a coaching program that you have or a product that you're selling or a service that you want to do for them, and you're sending them maybe to a sales page, or you might be getting on a 15-minute discovery call with them, it's much more easy, right, to, basically present your offer. And you're really at that point, because they've seen all of this content from you in the past and they feel like they know you very well.
Yeah.
It's not so much that you're having to sell to them. You're just really just chatting with them like you and I are doing today. You're chatting with them as a friend.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about having an online business and doing business online, especially for introverts, is you can do a lot of that groundwork up front before you even get on the phone call with that particular prospect or client or future customer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really like that. And to a large extent, we can work with the strengths that we have. Maybe we're better at expressing ourselves online than in a room full of people, or that's just one example. But you're right, it's finding how we can be our authentic selves in the scenarios that work for us. But then there's also times when actually I do need to kind of pull myself together, step out of the comfort zone and stretch, grow in this area as well. So for the times when you have to go out there a bit more, if you like, how do you help people navigate? So for clients that come to you and say, I'm really struggling with this, help me get through it, what would be some of the steps or just the tips, the perspectives that people should embrace?
So I'm trying to think of some examples. So let's just say that you are, maybe you're providing some type of website development services and you want to get some more business, and maybe you're going out to a local event. And local events are great places to network, to meet people. They can see you face to face. They know who you are. You're just not this, this unknown online person out on the internet, right?
Yeah.
So it might be as simple as, asking them about their business. People love to talk about themselves, right? And as an introvert, you might not feel as comfortable talking about yourself. But if you just ask them, tell me a little bit about your business. Tell me a little bit about your website. How's it working for you? Just show interest in what they're doing. And the last part, and just selling your, okay, if you need help with that, here's my business card. I'll be more than happy to help you. That's not even selling. That's just offering them a solution to something they need.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sound advice. That I like that. Makes a lot of sense as well. And it does, if we go almost armed with that perspective and that strategy, it's like, okay, so networking events are not as scary as what we might think they are. So it's it's practical, but it's surprising how, if people really take that on board, just that change of perspective can really make a difference in how they present themselves, how they talk, their body language, how other people receive them as well. I think that's key. So Thank you. That's really good. I like that.
Yeah, just ask some questions.
No, it's brilliant. Because I think a lot of it, one of the things as I'm listening to you, and as I hear you chat, it's like, I don't want people listening thinking I suddenly need to be an extrovert because that works. It's like, it works for people that are wired that way. For people that are not wired that way, it doesn't work. You have to find yourself, and there's a balance of, you have to be prepared to grow and stretch rather than just stay in your confines of what is familiar and comfortable, because otherwise you're not going to progress. You're not going to get to where you want to get to. You're not going to reach as many people as you like to and help them. So there is that balance, but I really like it. It's you can be who you are, and then you find what works for you, and then build your business that way. And we talked about authenticity. People get to understand the real Destini, the real Joe Blogs, the real whoever, because they've seen you, like you say, on social media. Then they've met you, and you're the same there as you are in person, and not suddenly some different persona to try and put you in a position where you feel you have to sell differently. So it makes a lot of sense. I like all that. So let's maybe dig into, we mentioned about your online course side of things. It'd be nice to explore that a little bit, particularly the 90-day attraction. I like that in the title. It's like, that makes it, what could seem very daunting makes it very possible. Obviously there's work, there's things you need to do. It's not going to happen just by buying the book and waiting 90 days, but just enlighten us a little bit about some of the steps that maybe would stop things from seeming as daunting as they might be.
And the good news is, it could even be less than 90 days if you already have an audience. So if you're a coach out there and you've been working with clients for several years, a lot of this groundwork that I talk about in the book, you may have already accomplished it. Like, you may have already done it in your business. And that would be building your audience, building an email list. Doesn't have to be big, you need to have an audience that you can talk to find out exactly what they need from you. And one of the things that I talk about in the book, and I preach about it constantly, if you are considering or you want to add an additional revenue stream into your business, like a digital product, whether that's an ebook or some type of templates or swipe files or an online course or a membership, I always recommend starting small. So if you want to add like an online course, you want to teach somebody something, start with a mini course. And, it doesn't have to be this what I call these full-blown signature courses that take you months and months and months to build. It can be a simple, what does my ideal customer need to get started? Going back to the website designer that we were talking about just a few minutes ago, let's assume that this particular person, they build websites for people, and, they've built up their business, and, they're charging $5,000 a month now to build a website, and they have people coming to them that can't afford the $5,000, or they might not be ready to invest that much money in their business. And what they could do, or an idea for that particular person, would be give them a starter. Walk them through how to set up a starter website, so that when they're ready for that, that really fancy website that you can do for them, they'll come back to you and they'll be ready for it. It could be a simple, 3-lesson type mini course that you give them, or, that they can purchase from you. I love mini courses because there's a lot of different ways that you can repurpose them in your business. You can use it as a tripwire. So if you have a lead magnet, let's just say that website designer has a lead magnet that's like this checklist of things to get started. On that thank you page, after they sign up for that lead, magnet, you can have this special offer for them. You can sell it directly from your website. So there's a lot of things that you can do with mini courses, and mini courses can be extremely, extremely simple to put together.
Sounds exciting. I'm thinking, yeah. For me, it's one of those things. I know it's in the future. Why is it in the future? The coach of you would ask me. Maybe I'll avoid answering that one for the moment. No, it's more. It's not applied myself to do it yet. But in the process, like you say, I'm consciously and intentionally developing content, which will then go into the course. And you're right. Lots of people listening already have so much content, whether it needs slight polishing or just rebranding slightly or something. The backbone of it, so to speak, is there, I think, which is also encouraging. I like what you said as well about being a mini course. So it's like there's no set rule of it's only going to be successful if it's 12 hours of learning or something like that. Because again, we look at the magnitude of time and effort it's going to take, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't get done. It's like, when I have enough, those imaginary 3 weeks that will turn up in my calendar in the future at some point where I've got nothing to do, I'll do it then. It's like, no, that isn't going to happen, is it? It's the starting, being consistent about developing content. I like that. And also, as you was chatting, like mini courses can grow, can't they? A mini course could then become a module of another course. So there's a lot of flexibility. I think one of the really key points that you help people with is starting. I think it's such a big hurdle in lots of different ways to start a particular thing. And for people that are listening, maybe you're listening and you think, I never really thought about doing a course, but I've got lots of stuff. I've got lots of blogs. I've got lots of video stuff. I could pull that together. I'm going to listen to Destini again and find out more about what she does. Any of that. Or maybe you've already started and thought, I sort of lost momentum, didn't really get very far. Well, just keep it short. Launch the mini course, use that as the trial, learn from anything that you think, actually, I could do that better. It's all progress. It all keeps momentum going, and it gets your voice out there more. Even if it's the first thing, people might be the first thing they hear, or it could be the step towards a bigger package that you can offer at some point. So I really like that. It makes a lot of sense. What would be, I suppose, other than the hurdle of people thinking it takes too long, which you've destroyed that myth, so that's good. What would be some of the other things that you've come across where people really struggle in the, well, it'd be nice to do, but, and then they come out with the excuse of why they haven't done it?
So I want to go back to one of the point that you made earlier, which it'll kind of segue into what I'm going to talk about to answer your question. Yeah. You talked about the mini course cannot be a trial, if you would. And that's exactly right. One of the things that people struggle with online courses or selling digital products in general, and probably their services too, is it's hard, right? It's hard for a lot of us to actually sell. And with the mini course, and you're putting it out there, people can perceive it. It can be a little bit easier to sell, right? It's a lower priced product, but it gives you practice selling digital products and selling, just selling in general. So you're building all the sales funnels for the mini course. So you're putting up a sales page. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, but you're still putting up a sales page. You might have like an email responder. So when somebody signs up for your lead magnet, you have some email follow-up sequences. At some point, you promote your mini course. So you're getting used to selling it. You're dipping your toes into marketing. And to answer your question, that's the challenge that a lot of people have, is they don't know how to market their products and services. Yeah. And that's what I always tell folks is just start with the simple email sequence. So somebody signs up for your lead magnet, have a email service provider that will do sequences. I know people call them different things. The ConvertKit that I use, they call them visual automations, but basically it's just a sequence. Somebody signs up and then you send them it could be 5 emails that you send them over a period of time. And through those emails, You're, allowing them to get to know you. You might even be asking them questions, right? So you can get to know your audience a little bit better, but also you're promoting your products and your services. So going back to that website designer that we talked about just a second ago, he or she could be promoting her services. And, if somebody doesn't bite or they don't set up a call with her, she could, downsell them, right? Downsell them the mini course. You're not ready for it, but you might be ready for this type thing. Yeah. And have all of that in your email follow-up. So your business, your website, your lead magnet can be your sales machine, right? And just the more practice you have doing all of this, the better you're going to get at it. I can tell you that my email sequences and my sales funnels that I've put up and have running today are so much better than they were several years ago.
Yeah. But if you hadn't started several years ago, you'd still be going, I really should set up a funnel. I really should start something. And then, you've lost all that income. You've lost the reach of helping people as well. Makes a lot of sense. I think it's also one of those things where people might come across your mini course. They might, I don't know, watch 1 or 2 hours, whatever, of you talking about whatever your subject is, your specialized subject. That goes in like a seed, doesn't it? Like maybe they think, okay, that's enough for now. But everyone knows somebody, and everyone knows somebody has a need. So chances are, if you've been able to register who you are and what you do, even through a short mini course with somebody, it will come up in conversation. Oh, I saw this good video. I watched this free course, whatever. And the other thing, like mini courses, from a viewer's perspective, they're a lot easier to get through, aren't they? If you sign up to a course, I don't know what the retention rate is, but they say with books, there's a huge percentage of people that read the first couple of chapters of a book and never finish it. So it's got to be the same for courses, hasn't it? Whereas if you've got something that takes people from A to B to C, and they're happy with the point of getting to C because they understand what you're conveying, then when they're ready for D, E, and F, whatever the next steps would be, you're going to be one of the people that comes to mind, if not the only person, because they've already sort of tasted what you can do, and you're there to help them. And they're on your list, so they're regularly getting some sort of communication from you to keep their awareness that you're in business and what you do amongst the flood of everything else that people get as well. So there's lots of benefits if you just do a small course, like you say, which is really good. I think you should definitely come back at some point and elaborate more in the nitty gritty of setting up the course and all of that, because you do course in a box, don't you? Just as we're sort of wrapping up this conversation, what is course in a box?
So course in a box is a simple 5-step process for creating your mini course. And the videos are short and to the point. And going back to a comment that you made earlier, that's the thing. People don't want these long courses. They don't have time to sit there and watch a 60-minute video. They want to watch a video that's 5, maybe 10 minutes long. That even might be pushing it. And they want to get a quick win. They want to take take what they learn and go take action on it. And that's what Course in a Box is. And I'll walk you through all the 5 steps to create your mini course. And I recommend mini courses. I will say when I first started in the business, I had this huge signature course. And quite frankly, I was having trouble getting people to finish it. It's too much. It's too much for them to kind of figure out, okay, I got to create my course and here's all the marketing systems I got to put together to, do the live launch and then evergreen it. So I took all of that and broke it out in a bunch of mini courses, and it made a huge difference in my business. So I'm a big believer and fan for a lot of audiences out there to do mini courses. Now, your audience may be a little different. You may, a signature course may be what the doctor ordered, but you really just have to test your audience and really figure out what do they need and what will they respond to.
Yeah. And like you say, if you've got a full signature course and you start a mini course, that can be the trailer, the teaser, the first step that gets people thinking, actually, I want to explore that in more detail. I am ready to do the thing. But yeah, I know what you mean. Bite-sized learning, I think, is huge nowadays. Micro-learning is another term, isn't it? And it helps fit it in with the lifestyle that we have, whether we're running businesses, whether we're raising a family or whatever. There's so many different demands on our time. So just the thought of, it's a quick course, I can do that, is a lot more appealing in lots of ways. Unless you're going to do a master's or something and you set out, X amount of months, years devoted to the study. A lot of it's just we learn as we go, which is really good. So you've made it very accessible. And you've taken something that could be a real hurdle to people not progressing, getting their message out, not creating another passive income stream, by making it really simple that these are the steps you take. It's that straightforward. You've already got most of the content yourself. I would hope for people listening, that in itself is an encouragement. You've already got the content just from what you do, just somehow package it in a way people can access it in a course. You're halfway there already. And I think that's the first win, is realizing, actually, I don't need to start from scratch. I started 10 years ago from scratch. Now I've got 10 years worth of content, or 6 months, whatever it is. I can now put it into a skeleton of a course just to reach people. I think that's huge. And people will go back to courses time and again. They won't necessarily ping you an email all the time and book coaching sessions, but they'll go back to what you've taught over and over again, if it's really useful to them. So definitely a subject I'm passionate about. I love the fact that you've made it accessible for people to get their message out, and that can transform people's businesses. So kudos to you for that. Thank you for doing it, and for coming and sharing a little bit. We've only touched the surface, really, but just in the short time we've had, you've shared so much that will help people move from where they are to taking action, getting on the first step, shall we say, and to help them in that process. There'll be a link to your website below, but is hitting your website the best place to find out more about what you do and how you can help them on the journey?
Absolutely. So go to my website. I will have some free resources. I'm in the process right now of adding some new ones. So that would be the best place to go.
Sounds good. We like free.
Yes.
Not free naff stuff, but free good stuff. Like when good people that know what they're talking about, offer free stuff, then there's always benefit and value in doing it. And it's the step towards the next step, isn't it? You don't need to take 20 steps yet. You just need to take the next step, and then the next step, and just do it gradually. So for everybody listening, definitely check out Destini's website. She does a podcast as well, which we haven't really dug into much, but there's a podcast on there as well to help people with course creation. Definitely recommend you checking that out, and listen out, because hopefully Destini will come back on another episode. We're going to try and get a chat with Yeukai as well, so that will be really good, and they'll dig into the course side of it a bit more, I think. But for now, thank you for everything that you shared. There's plenty for us to put into practice and to think about, just with the short time we spent together today. So really appreciate your time investing in the audience.
Thank you so much, Trevor. I had a blast.
It's brilliant. No, thank you. So for everybody listening, just as we wrap this up, as I say, make sure you take action. Otherwise, you'll still be where you are 6 months from now, and you'll be frustrated and you'll wish you'd taken action back when you heard that episode with Destini. Start putting something into practice now. Head to her website, check out her podcast, see how she can help you, because there's definitely things that she's learned and can help you navigate, rather than you make the same mistakes, rather than you take twice as long as you need to. Just leverage her expertise. So we'll leave you with that. Plenty to think about, plenty to put into action, and we will catch you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yukaibusinessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18, or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.